Hey everyone, this is Mr. Cine Hunter here. Today, we're diving into an action crime thriller film called The Story of Ricky. So sit tight, and let's begin this incredible journey. The story begins with a prison van carrying several prisoners to a private prison known for holding extremely dangerous criminals. Soon, the van arrives at the prison, and among the new inmates is a young prisoner named Ricky. However, he has been sentenced to 10 years in prison because a few days ago, he brutally murdered a man. But why he did that is something we will learn later. Since he is still young, his sentence has been reduced to 10 years. As soon as Ricky steps inside the prison, he shows his true nature. Ignoring the guard's instructions, he walks straight through the metal detector. The metal detector immediately starts beeping, which makes the guards suspicious that Ricky might be carrying a weapon. However, when they fail to find any weapon on him, they decide to take an X-ray. In the X-ray, it is revealed that 5 bullets are stuck inside Ricky's chest. Seeing this, the guards are shocked that a person could survive with so many bullets inside his body. The guards ask him why he never had them removed. In response, Ricky says, "I kept them as a memory. As long as I live, they will stay with me." After that, all the new prisoners are taken into a cell, and we get to see the entire prison. The prison is divided into 4 sections, and each section is ruled by a powerful prisoner. Together, these 4 prisoners are known as the Gang of 4. They are the leaders of very dangerous gangs. They also have permission from the prison warden. That means, even if they commit any crime inside the prison, the warden does not say anything to them. In return, they arrange to send money to the warden from outside so they can continue their rule. In the next scene, we see an old man named Ma being harassed by a few prisoners. They break the wooden toy train he had painstakingly made for his own son. The other prisoners stand silently, merely watching the spectacle. No one dares to help him. The old man was supposed to be released on bail in a few days, but Samuel, the right-hand man of the North Section leader, threatens him, saying, "You won't leave this place until I give permission." Hearing this, the old man becomes furious. He grabs a wood-cutting tool and tries to attack Samuel, but the bully swiftly overpowers him, striking him in the face with the tool and leaving him bloodied. When the guards arrive, they do nothing to stop the violence and allow Samuel to walk away while attempting to cover up the incident. As Samuel moves forward, Ricky steps in his path. As a result, Samuel falls directly onto a nail board and screams in pain. One of Samuel's accomplices then comes to attack Ricky, but Ricky glares at him in such a way that he becomes too scared to strike. Samuel's 2 accomplices then drag him away and escape from the scene. After that, it is seen that Samuel's face is in very bad condition, so he is extremely angry with Ricky. Therefore, Samuel plans to kill Ricky in order to take revenge, but one of his accomplices says, "Boss, you don't have to do anything yourself. We can have Mad Dragon finish him off." Mad Dragon is a terrifyingly powerful prisoner whose hunger is never satisfied. He had been kept in isolation because he had eaten the warden's horse. The next day, Samuel meets a guard and offers him a bribe equal to his 1-month's salary to arrange for Mad Dragon to be released. On the other hand, a guard calls the old man Ma and informs him that his release has been canceled. Now he will have to serve his full sentence. Hearing this, the old man breaks down in tears and begs them for mercy, but no one shows him any compassion. Instead, they brutally beat him and leave. This causes the old man immense pain, and that night he ends his life by hanging himself. Soon, the news spreads throughout the entire prison. The prisoners start talking among themselves about how Samuel forced him to commit suicide, and he had been punished without any real fault, because when he was taking his pregnant wife to the hospital, he had accidentally run over a pedestrian with his car. Ricky quietly hears all of this from inside his cell and begins to boil with anger. Later, when 2 prison guards carry out the old man's body, Ricky approaches them. He removes the covering from the body and sees that the man's hands are still handcuffed. Seeing this deeply upsets Ricky, so he breaks the handcuff chain and leaves the repaired toy train beside the old man. After that, to release the anger built up inside him, Ricky starts practicing kung fu in the storm. He realizes that if he wants to survive in this prison, he will have to fight every single day. Otherwise, his fate will be the same. The next day, Ricky comes to the washroom to take a shower. At that moment, Samuel comes and stands beside Ricky, staring at him in a strange way. After a while, when all the prisoners leave the place, the gigantic Mad Dragon arrives there. However, Before Ricky can understand what is happening, Mad Dragon throws a powerful punch at him, sending Ricky crashing straight into the wall of the washroom. Mad Dragon then approaches Ricky and threatens him, saying that after killing him, he will turn Ricky into minced meat and eat him with 30 pounds of rice. But Ricky is not frightened by Mad Dragon's words at all. When Mad Dragon tries to attack Ricky again, Ricky delivers a powerful punch and drives his hand straight into Mad Dragon's belly. As a result, everything inside Mad Dragon's stomach spills out, and he dies on the spot. Even after witnessing Mad Dragon's horrifying death, Samuel does not stop his evil actions. Instead, he tries to kill Ricky using a nail, but Ricky blocks the nail with his hand and twists Samuel's hand, breaking his fingers. After that, Ricky pulls the nail out of his own hand as if he feels no pain at all. Filled with intense rage, Ricky then throws a punch like a shotgun blast right in front of the guard and kills Samuel as well. At that moment, no one had the courage to stop Ricky. Even so, Ricky surrenders himself without any resistance. Just then, the leader of the North section, Oscar, arrives there. Seeing Ricky's incredible strength, Oscar becomes very impressed. He then offers Ricky to join his gang, but Ricky rejects his offer. After that, the guards take him to another cell and lock him up. Because of Mad Dragon's punch, the bullet stuck inside Ricky's chest had shifted, causing him unbearable pain. However, he tries to endure the pain by diverting his attention elsewhere. At that moment, Ricky remembers something from his past when he was a high school student. One day, Ricky goes to visit his parents' graves. When he arrives there, he sees a stranger already standing there, paying his respects to them. When Ricky asks about his identity, the man introduces himself as Ricky's uncle. Then he tells Ricky, "I already knew about your superhuman powers. That's why I have been keeping an eye on you since you were a child." After that, he asks Ricky to show him some moves to test his strength. Following his uncle's request, Ricky demonstrates several fighting moves that he has learned. But when Ricky tries to attack him, his uncle knocks him away with a single punch. At that moment, Ricky realizes that he is still not fully prepared, so he asks his uncle to teach him martial arts. His uncle agrees, and from that day on, he begins training Ricky in martial arts. Gradually, under his uncle's guidance, Ricky becomes much stronger than before. He becomes so destructive that he can easily crush even rocks with his bare body. Thinking about all these memories, the night eventually passes and morning arrives. Just then, two guards come and take Ricky to the assistant warden's office for judgment. It is seen that the guards are serving various foods on the table of assistant warden Cyclops, and he is eating all those foods like a monster. Moreover, Cyclops has one damaged eye and uses an artificial eye in that hollow spot. In addition, one of his hands is cut off, and in its place he has attached a sharp hook. At that moment, Ricky comes and stands in front of Cyclops. A guard standing behind him begins to read out Ricky's crime report to Cyclops. According to the report, Ricky had been an orphan since childhood, which is why he grew up in an orphanage. However, he was not good at studies at all. For that reason, he was transferred from a general school to a music school, but later, he disappeared from there for 2 years. No one knew where he was during that time. Then suddenly one day, he killed a man, and for that crime, he was arrested and brought to this prison. After hearing all this, Cyclops approaches Ricky and asks, "Where were you during those 2 years? And how did these 5 bullets end up inside your chest?" But Ricky does not answer any of Cyclops' questions. So Cyclops gets angry and pulls out a letter that arrived for Ricky this morning. From inside the letter, he takes out a photo of Ricky's girlfriend and shows it to him. When Ricky tries to take the photo, Cyclops suddenly thrusts his sharp hook into Ricky's hand. After that, while repeatedly punching Ricky in the face, Cyclops says, "I want to see how strong the man is who killed dangerous prisoners like Mad Dragon and Samuel." Saying this, he strikes Ricky's hand again. Enraged, Ricky spits in Cyclops' face. This makes Cyclops extremely furious. He starts speaking badly about Ricky's girlfriend and even crumples the photograph. This makes Ricky extremely angry, and he splits Cyclops' dining table into 2 with his bare hands. When Cyclops fires a gun at him, Ricky blocks the bullet as well. Seeing all this, Cyclops becomes terrified and threatens Ricky again, saying, "If you try to kill me, you won't leave this place alive." Furious again, Ricky rushes towards Cyclops to punch him. But in the end, he stops himself and does not strike him. Cyclops then notices that, although Ricky did not actually hit his face, blood is already coming out of his nose from the force of Ricky's punch. Cyclops then realizes that Ricky is no ordinary human because he managed to injure him without even touching his body. At that moment, Ricky tells Cyclops, "I could kill you right now if I wanted to, but I'm letting you go this time. However, don't ever try to interfere in my personal life again." After saying this, Ricky takes his girlfriend's photo and leaves the place. That night, Ricky sits in his cell and stares at his girlfriend's photograph for a long time. Then he takes out his flute and begins to play a tune. As he plays, memories of the joyful days he spent with his girlfriend Lisa in the past appear before his eyes. This makes Ricky very emotional, and he wishes he could return to those past moments with Lisa. Just then, a guard arrives and scolds Ricky, warning him not to play the flute so late at night. The next day, when one of Samuel's companions comes out after using the toilet, several prisoners start following him. Frightened, the dude tries to escape by running up the stairs, but at that moment, another prisoner kicks him and knocks him down. After that, the prisoners begin interrogating Samuel's companion, because while Samuel was alive, he had tortured them a lot on Samuel's behalf. Moreover, he was also involved in the conspiracy behind the old man's suicide. Therefore, the prisoners decide that today they will punish him in various ways. However, a prisoner named Andrew pulls out a saw and intends to kill him immediately. Terrified, the man grabs Andrew's feet and begs for his life, but Andrew does not listen to him and is about to kill him with the saw. Just then, Oscar arrives there. Oscar orders Andrew not to kill him because no one in this section is allowed to punish another prisoner without his permission. However, Andrew opposes Oscar's decision and says, "When Samuel tortured us, you let him go, and now that we want justice, you're trying to stop us." Andrew's behavior angers Oscar. Enraged, Oscar grabs the saw and strikes Andrew fatally in the face. From above, Cyclops watches the whole incident and begins praising Oscar. Then Cyclops drives his hook into Andrew's face and drags him away from there. The next day, Cyclops calls Oscar to his office and orders him to kill Ricky. To do this, he plans to use Andrew as bait so that Ricky will fight Oscar in order to save him. Because of Ricky, the other prisoners have gained a lot of courage. If this continues, one day the prisoners might rebel against them. Moreover, Cyclops gives Oscar a sharp knife to finish off Ricky. Taking the order to kill Ricky, Oscar quietly leaves the office. After that, he arrives at a field where Andrew is tied to a cross, and he challenges Ricky to fight him. Ricky then prepares to fight Oscar in order to save Andrew. However, at first he does not attack Oscar, and because of this, Oscar punches Ricky and pushes him away. The other prisoners then shout to Ricky, "Oscar has revealed the tattoo on his body. That means he will definitely kill Andrew. You must defeat him somehow to save Andrew." Hearing this, Ricky regains his senses and becomes extremely angry. He then starts fighting Oscar seriously. As the fight continues, Ricky manages to injure Oscar badly. At that moment, Oscar cleverly throws crushed glass into Ricky's eyes, temporarily blinding him. Unable to see anything, Ricky becomes weak. Taking advantage of the situation, Oscar cuts the veins in Ricky's hand with his knife, causing a lot of blood to flow from his arm. Just when Oscar is about to finish Ricky off, Ricky breaks a nearby pipeline and uses the water to wash his eyes. As a result, he regains his vision. All the prisoners then begin cheering and supporting Ricky against Oscar. When Oscar tries to attack again, Ricky blocks the attack and punches him hard in the head, causing one of Oscar's eyes to pop out. Ricky then uses the veins from his own injured arm to bandage the wound, which shocks Cyclops and all the prisoners present there. At that moment, Oscar suddenly cuts open his own stomach with the knife. When Ricky approaches to save him, Oscar deceives him and pulls out his own intestines, wrapping them around Ricky's neck in an attempt to kill him. However, he fails to succeed. As a final attempt, Oscar attacks Ricky again despite his stomach being cut open, but Ricky lifts him up and delivers a powerful punch. The impact of that punch shatters Oscar's skull, and he dies. At Oscar's death, all the prisoners of the North section burst with joy and begin cheering for Ricky. Ricky then pulls the cross, to which Andrew had been tied, out of the ground. However, it turns out that Andrew has already died by then. Seeing this, all the prisoners become furious and rush towards Cyclops to kill him. But by that time, the remaining 3 leaders of the Gang of 4 arrive there. One of them immediately smashes a rebellious prisoner's head like a watermelon. Another one pierces a prisoner's stomach with a sharp hook. The 3rd leader suddenly emerges from under the ground and throws a manhole cover at Ricky, but Ricky easily shatters it. Cyclops then challenges Ricky to fight these 3 leaders. The other prisoners also encourage Ricky to fight them. However, Ricky tells them, "You all go back to your cells. 2 people have already lost their lives. I don't want any more bloodshed." After saying this, Ricky lifts Andrew's body onto his shoulder and begins to walk away from there. At that moment, Cyclops offers Ricky the position of leader of the North section, because after Oscar's death, he now needs someone as strong as Ricky to lead this section. But Ricky rejects his offer and leaves. While leaving, Ricky notices a mute boy named Alan looking at him with a pitiful gaze. Alan was Oscar's godson, and since Oscar is now dead, Alan has become very helpless in his absence. Realizing this, Ricky feels very sorry for him. As Alan is leaving, he notices Ricky walking away while playing a whistle using a leaf. So the next day, Alan also tries to whistle using a leaf like Ricky. Seeing this, Ricky sits beside Alan and begins to teach him how to whistle with a leaf. While listening to Ricky's flute, Alan suddenly starts crying. When Ricky asks the reason for his crying, Alan shows him that his tongue has been cut out. Ricky then realizes that Alan probably knows many secrets about the Gang of 4, and they cut out his tongue so he could not reveal them. When Alan sadly begins to walk away from there, Ricky gives his flute to him as a gift. Alan becomes very happy after receiving the flute and manages to produce a tune from it. Out of happiness, he gives Ricky a few leaves. When Ricky takes one of the leaves and smells it, he realizes that it is actually a drug leaf. Ricky then asks Alan, "Where did you get these leaves?" Alan points toward the West section, indicating that the leaders of the Gang of 4 are secretly cultivating drugs there away from the public eye. From hiding, the West section leader Rogan overhears the conversation between Ricky and Alan. So he returns to his cell and informs the other 2 leaders that Alan has revealed their drug cultivation secret to Ricky. However, the leader of the South section, Tarzan, says to Rogan, "Alan cannot speak, so how did he inform Ricky about all this?" Rogan then calls Alan and brings him there. Tarzan shows Oscar's mutilated corpse to Alan and says, "Look what Ricky has done to your godfather's body. Shouldn't you take revenge on Ricky for Oscar's death?" At that moment, the leader of the East section, Brandon, hands Oscar's knife to Alan and orders him to kill Ricky. However, Alan refuses, knowing that Ricky could never commit such a heinous act. Angered by this, Rogan kills Alan right there. They then leave Alan's body in the prison yard so that all the prisoners can see his fate and be scared. At that moment, Ricky arrives upon seeing the crowd. He sees Alan's corpse lying there, and next to it is the flute he had given him. Ricky goes to him, takes the flute in his hands, and becomes extremely emotional. In his anger and grief, he screams and breaks the flute. Meanwhile, Cyclops learns that Ricky has discovered the secret about the drugs in their prison. This makes him extremely furious. On the other hand, in a fit of anger, Ricky goes to the western section and sets all the drug plants on fire. But just then, Rogan arrives there and sees that Ricky has burned all of their drug plants. Enraged by this, Rogan threatens to kill Ricky. However, Ricky instead tells Rogan that he will kill him today to avenge Alan's death. As the fight between them begins, Rogan kicks Ricky hard and throws him far away. Ricky then realizes that Rogan's fighting style is not like ordinary kung fu, so he becomes much more cautious while fighting him. Rogan then uses a powerful move and throws Ricky a great distance again. After that, he comes closer to Ricky and says, "I have struck your death spot, so your death is now certain." However, Ricky does not get frightened by Rogan's words and regains his composure. At that moment, Ricky remembers the techniques taught by his uncle and gathers strength within himself to stand up and fight again. But just then, Brandon suddenly attacks Ricky and stitches both of Ricky's hands together with his sharp needles. Meanwhile, Tarzan comes from behind and grabs Ricky, saying, "I will not kill Ricky until I fight him myself." Meanwhile, as the fire spreads throughout different parts of the prison, the inmates take advantage of the situation and attempt to escape. Cyclops learns about this and orders the guards to stop the prisoners. But at that very moment, he finds out that the warden is returning to the prison the next day after finishing his leave. However, the entire prison has already turned into ruins. And if the warden finds out about this, Cyclops will be in serious trouble. So, Cyclops declares a zero alarm and orders the guards to bring all the prisoners back into the prison by any means necessary. As a result, the guards start firing continuously at the prisoners outside after sounding the alarm. Meanwhile, the other two leaders manage to escape from the gunfire. However, Tarzan captures Ricky and takes him inside a cell. Seizing the opportunity, Cyclops locks both of them inside the cell. Then, in order to kill Ricky, he pours liquid concrete into the cell. Gradually, the cell begins to fill up with cement from all sides. Ricky then breaks the iron door of the cell and comes out. At the same time, he also rescues Tarzan. After that, as Ricky carries Tarzan on his shoulder and tries to go upstairs, Cyclops suddenly appears in front of them. Since Ricky's body is covered in cement, it starts to harden, making him weak. As a result, Ricky falls down the stairs along with Tarzan. Taking advantage of this situation, Cyclops captures Ricky. The next morning, the warden arrives to visit the prison. Cyclops and all the guards welcome him by laying out a red carpet in his honor. While walking on the carpet, the warden's spoiled son, Johnny, slips and falls. This makes the warden furious, and he angrily asks Cyclops who arranged the carpet. To cover up his own mistake, Cyclops falsely blames a prisoner. Enraged, the warden strikes the prisoner with his walking stick and blinds one of his eyes. After that, Cyclops informs the warden that a prisoner named Ricky has burned down all of their drug plants. This makes the warden extremely angry. Cyclops then takes him to show Ricky. There, it is seen that Ricky is tied up inside a cell, and his entire body is covered in cement. However, within moments, Ricky shakes off all the cement from his body and easily breaks free from his restraints. He then grabs the warden by the throat, attempting to kill him. At that moment, Tarzan breaks through the wall and attacks Ricky. Using iron bars from the prison, Tarzan binds Ricky and starts beating him mercilessly, showing no gratitude despite Ricky having saved his life earlier. Ricky struggles, but is unable to break free. Tarzan then tries to crush Ricky's head. However, at the last moment, Ricky uses his strength to free himself and delivers a powerful punch that shatters Tarzan's face, killing him instantly. Seeing this, both Cyclops and the warden become terrified. The warden then attempts to kill Ricky using a hydraulic press, which slowly descends to crush him. Ricky uses all his strength to hold it back, but the warden shocks him with 100,000 volts of electricity. Unable to withstand it any longer, Ricky collapses to the ground. At that moment, it is revealed that Tarzan is still alive. He bears the weight of the machine on his shoulders to save Ricky. Seizing the moment, Ricky breaks through the iron bars of the cell and escapes. He quickly holds the machine in place and tells Tarzan to get out, but Tarzan no longer has the strength to move. In front of everyone, he is crushed to death under the machine. At that moment, a photograph flies out from Tarzan's belongings. Ricky sees that it is a picture of Tarzan and his mom. He then shows the photo to Cyclops and says, "Every prisoner here has a family. Their families are waiting for them to return every single moment, but you are treating them like filth and taking their lives." However, the warden remains unmoved by Ricky's words. Instead, he throws Ricky into another trap and orders Cyclops to gather all the prisoners in the yard. Here, it is seen that the warden places Ricky inside a pit, and all the prisoners surround him. At that moment, the warden arrives and orders the prisoners to bury Ricky alive, one by one. However, two prisoners refuse to do this because they care about Ricky. The warden then shoots and kills those two on the spot, forcing the others to obey his command. One by one, the prisoners begin throwing soil over Ricky, but as they do so, they apologize to him for their actions. The warden then announces that if Ricky can survive like this for about 7 days, he will be set free. After that, Cyclops installs a bamboo pipe so that Ricky can breathe. That day, all the prisoners are extremely worried about Ricky and feel deep regret for what they have done to him. Meanwhile, Rogan and Brandon come to Ricky and shove a piece of meat into his breathing pipe, trying to suffocate him. However, Ricky bites through the pipe, breaking it into 2 pieces, and eats the chunk of meat. At that moment, Ricky recalls the most painful event of his past. One day, his girlfriend Lisa was returning home from school when she saw some boys taking drugs on the street. They caught her and took her to their boss. Their boss was about to do something terrible to her, but Lisa tried to escape. Unfortunately, she slipped from the rooftop while running and died. When Ricky learned about this, he was devastated. After a lot of effort, he tracked down the man responsible for her death. When Ricky tried to kill him, the man shot him 5 times in a row, but it had no effect on Ricky's incredibly strong body. Ricky then brutally killed the man and avenged Lisa's death. This is why Ricky was arrested and brought to this prison. As time passes, nearly a week goes by. The warden then uses an excavator to dig Ricky out of the ground. Everyone assumes that Ricky is dead, but after a while, it is revealed that he is still alive. Ricky then breaks the chains binding him using his immense strength and frees himself, which makes all the prisoners extremely happy. At that moment, Rogan suddenly attacks Ricky with great force, causing him to lose consciousness, as he has become extremely weak from hunger and thirst. When Ricky regains consciousness, he finds himself trapped between several iron bars, unable to move. Then the warden tells him, "In my entire life, I have never seen anyone as brave as you. Forget everything from the past. Join hands with me, because I truly need someone like you." However, Ricky refuses, saying that even if he loses his life, he will never side with filthy people like them. Enraged by this, Brandon starts beating him. Just then, Rogan arrives with several blades. He forcefully stuffs the blades into Ricky's mouth and tapes it shut, then continues to assault him. Later, the warden comes and removes the tape from Ricky's mouth, and Ricky spits all the blades back at him. After that, Ricky is shown being imprisoned in another cell. At that moment, another prisoner secretly comes and gives Ricky some food, encouraging him not to give up. When Cyclops learns about this, he kills that prisoner and drags his body to Ricky's cell. By now, Ricky has freed himself and strikes Cyclops from behind, severely injuring him. When Ricky realizes that Cyclops killed the prisoner, he becomes extremely furious. Together with the other prisoners, he captures Cyclops and takes him to the warden. The warden then fires a strange type of bullet, killing Cyclops by causing his body to explode. Soon after, Brandon and Rogan arrive, and Ricky engages in a brutal fight with Rogan. Although they try to kill Ricky using various machines, Ricky turns the tables and cuts off Rogan's leg. Seeing this, Brandon gets terrified and tries to escape, but the warden shoots and kills him as well. Then Ricky faces the warden in a final fight and brutally kills him too. Carrying the warden's head, he comes before all the prisoners. He then runs toward the massive prison wall and shatters it with a single punch, declaring that from this day on, they are all free and no longer have to endure any injustice. With that, Ricky leaves the prison and sets off toward an unknown destination. And this is where the story comes to an end. So, what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe for more awesome content. I'll see you guys next time.